Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the study of the key to Theosophy. And it's not really a study as much as it is a book reading, and then therefore the study takes place with you. This is Yogi Theosophy. This is not a different branch of Theosophy. Yogi simply means student, aspirant, one who applies or aspires. So you can be a Yogi Theosophist in your area. Every village should have a Yogi Theosophist. I think every block, every building, every body should become a Yogi Theosophist. This is the key to Theosophy, which you all have. So I thought I'd show that. It doesn't exist separate from you. This key is within you. So the key to Theosophy, we're taking a look at just part 2, which means if I wait around to do the audiobook of this, it'll be forever. So let's just crack it now. Let's get cracking and start up where we left off last week. So here we go. We were talking about that the Theosophical Society wants to reconcile all religions, sects, and nations under a common system of ethics based on eternal verities. That's where we left off. Verities meaning beliefs, truths, or principles. Now, the key to Theosophy is written in a question and answer way. So there'll be an inquirer and then the Theosophist. I may say inquirer or Theosophist or question and answer. I've also included links to the Key to Theosophy, the original text that was written almost 130 years ago from 1889. And I will include the original PDF of that. I will also include links to shorter theosophical texts and other things that you can study and apply and learn. And they are always going to be free. All ebooks will always be free on Yogi Theosophy, because these are so important. These need to be available to one and to all. They come from far beyond, and they belong to all of us. So they're really all of ours. This is not a division. This is a union Theosophy. So the next question is, what have you to show that this is not an impossible dream, and that all the world's religions are based on one and the same truth? And the answer comes, their comparative study and analysis. The wisdom religion was one in antiquity, and the sameness of primitive religions of philosophy is proven to us by the identical doctrines taught to the initiates during the mysteries. Now, the mysteries is capitalized. One should pay attention to that. Highlight that in your book if you can. An institution once universally diffused, which means scattered or dimmed. All the old worships indicate the existence of a single theosophy anterior before to them, in front of them. The key, that is to open one, must open all. Otherwise, it cannot be the right key. Now that quote right there, the key, that is to open one, must open all. Otherwise, it is not the right key. That is a quote from Alexander Wilder. He was a professor and one of the founding members of the original Theosophical Society. There are footnotes in this text that if I read them, it might take a little bit of time. I will include them in the written blog, but they explain much more. So we're just going to do the primary Theosophist and inquirer quotes. And remember that this is Socratic learning. And I remember when I mentioned that to another Theosophist, they didn't understand that Socratic meant other than what they said. So it is self-applied, and by you inquiring on your own terms and through your own discernment what these teachings mean to you. Do not take your beliefs from me. All right, don't take them from anyone else. They belong to you. First deserve, then desire. That is a quote also from HPB. And that means, well, don't be screwing around and keep your plate clean and your slate clean, and then inquire about these teachings, because they're so important, especially right now. So moving on, we have the policy of the Theosophical Society. Now, this was 130 years ago. This is different now. I have explained that my belief about the Theosophical Society is I have seen well, as with any organization or institution, I have seen corruption of the physical human ego, wanting to take glory and being blinded by their own light. So I believe now with the internet, we're able to go ahead and reach more people, can have access to these teachings without there needing to be someone who is in charge. I am not in charge of you. I am a student, just like you were studying together. Each one of us has the divine spark within. Okay? So, going back 130 years, the policy of the Theosophical Society. The question is asked, in the days of Ammonius, there were several ancient great religions, and numerous were the sects in Egypt and Palestine alone. How could he reconcile them? The question is answered by doing that which we again try to do now. The Neoplatonists were a large body and belonged to various religious philosophies. So do our Theosophists. In those days, the Jew Aristobulus affirmed the ethics of Aristotle represented the esoteric teachings of the law of Moses. Philo-Judaeus endeavored to reconcile the Pentateuch of the Pythagorean and Platonic philosophy, and Josephus proved that the Essenes of Carmel were simply the copyists and followers of the Egyptian therapeutae, the healers. So it is in our day we can show you the descent of every Christian religion, as of every, even the smallest sect. The latter are minor twigs or shoots grown on the larger branches, but shoots and branches splitting from the same trunk, the wisdom religion. To prove that this was the aim of Ammonius, who endeavored to induce Gentiles and Christians and Jews and idolaters to lay aside their contentions and strifes, remembering only that they were all in possession of the same truth under various vestments, and were all the children of a common mother, is the aim of Theosophy likewise. The question is asked, what are your authorities for saying this of the ancient Theosophist of Alexandria? The answer, an almost countless number of well-known writers, Mosaeum one of them, says, this is Mosaeum, Ammonius taught that the religion of the multitude went hand in hand with philosophy, and with her had shared the fate of being by degrees corrupted and obscured with mere human conceits, superstitions, and lies. That it ought therefore be brought back to its original purity by purging it of this dross and expounding it upon philosophical principles. And the whole Christ had in view was to reinstate and restore it to its primitive integrity, the wisdom of the ancients, to reduce within bounds the universally prevailing dominion of superstition, and in part to correct, and in part to exterminate the various errors that had found their way into the different popular religions. This again is precisely what the modern Theosophists say. Only while the great, and I used to say Philalethian, it's actually Philalethian, Philalethian, lover of truth. So while the great Philalethian was supported and helped in the policy he pursued by two church fathers, Clement and Athenagoras, by all the learned rabbis of the synagogue, the academy, and the groves, and while he taught a common doctrine for all, his followers were on the same line, received no recognition, but on the contrary are abused and persecuted. People 1,500 years ago are thus shown to have been more tolerant than they are in this enlightened century. They're writing about 130 years ago. I'm not really sure if we've enlightened anymore, if we've not gone that way. I'm not sure. I know that we do need light, and I do believe that there is hope and help in these ancient texts. So if we didn't have our poop in a group 130 years ago, then, well, we need to get moving. So the next question is, was he encouraged and supported by the church because, notwithstanding his heresies, Ammonius taught Christianity and was a Christian? The answer is not at all. He was born a Christian, but never accepted church Christianity, as said of him by the same writer. He had but to propound his instructions according to the ancient pillars of Hermes, which Plato and Pythagoras knew before, and from them constituted their philosophy. Finding the same in the prologue of the Gospel according to St. John, he very properly supposed that the purpose of Jesus was to restore the great doctrine of wisdom in its primitive integrity. The narratives of the Bible and the stories of the gods he considered to be allegories illustrative of the truth, or else fables to be rejected. Moreover, as says the Edinburgh Encyclopedia, he acknowledged that Jesus Christ was an excellent man and the friend of God, but alleged that it was not his design entirely to abolish the worship of gods, and that his only intention was to purify the ancient religion. So we'll just leave it there, and we will close with Manly P. Hall's quote. Now, Manly P. Hall was a philosopher, a mystic, a lecturer, and an author. You may know his work, Secret Teachings of All Ages. The Secret Teachings of All Ages is the proper title. The forces opposing the essential progress of humanity are always embodiments of the three great enemies, and they are ignorance, superstition, and fear. So, there we have it. The Key to Theosophy. We shall continue again later on. I apologize for the little break in videos. I had to fly to the States to look after my 91-year-old father, and I will get these up and as often as I possibly can. I have restructured the website, so I appreciate all of you bearing with me as we restructure the notifications and all that. So it's all kind of tying together. Yogi Theosophy, again, not a different branch of Theosophy. Yogi simply meaning student. Theosophy, wisdom, theos, gods. So the ancient wisdom. It's imperative. I believe that in the application of these teachings, it's changed my life in such an incredible way that to not share them with you would be terribly irresponsible. So I love you, and thank you for joining me today. I'll see you soon.